Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Simone Nicole here, back at it again with another video. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I switched to filming on my actual camera instead of filming on my iPhone, and I'm also using my mic that I have not gotten a chance to use yet. Please let me know what y'all like. Do you prefer the videos on my phone or this setup? Today we're going to be talking about self-love and self-confidence. Self-love and self-confidence is something that I have personally struggled with my whole entire life, and in my 24 years I have learned some things about myself that I absolutely love, and I've also noticed some things about myself that aren't the most productive to the woman that I am becoming. Female self-love is something that I'm so passionate about, so I am really excited to sit down and do this video for you all today. But before we can move on with the video, we have got to do our subscriber shout out of the day. Today's subscriber shout out is going to go to Miss Kayla Riley. She commented on my natural hair journey video and she said, "I've been thinking about going back natural for a while. I'm definitely going to do it now. Watching your progress has truly been inspiring and you are gorgeous." I just wanted to say thank you so much to Miss Kayla for leaving such a sweet comment. I love hearing that I am able to influence you all in a positive way. And similar to this video, I always want to encourage you all to be your best self and to be true to yourself and to love yourself no matter what form that is in. So knowing that I encourage you to start your natural hair journey really does warm my heart so much. So thank you again to Miss Kayla for 1, being subscribed, and for 2, making my day with such a positive comment. Now, with that being said, let's get into the video. So I guess I want to start out by talking about my personal journey with self-love, because it's definitely been a long one and a really big learning lesson. So I figured we could just start from the beginning. If I'm thinking about, you know, baby Simone, little Simone, adolescent Simone, I didn't have affirming parents. My mom's motto essentially was, "I'm not gonna applaud a pigeon for flying," if that makes sense. Everything that I was doing was an expectation, and she wasn't patting me on the back for any old thing, like ever. That just wasn't gonna happen. So that's kind of just what I got used to. So I didn't hear affirmations at home. I wasn't often told that I was pretty, because I don't know if it was my mom actively trying not to make me depend on my looks, because I was affirmed all the time as a little girl by strangers. People would constantly come up to me and tell me how beautiful I was. I looked like a little Barbie doll, and oh my gosh, she's the most gorgeous little girl I've ever seen. But you know, that doesn't really mean much to a kid. Like, you feel like, oh, that's an adult. All adults think that kids are cute. So that didn't really do much for me. And in addition to that, I was also getting made fun of ruthlessly at school for being dark-skinned. And if you are dark-skinned or just grew up black, then you know how bad it was for dark-skinned people. Right now, being dark-skinned is a wave, which is, you know, all cool and all fine. Growing up dark-skinned is an entirely different video that I would love to make if you guys want to hear about my experience and how it has affected me as an adult, even though I will mostly get into that. So far, the things working against me: I don't really have affirming parents at home. I am being made fun of constantly for literally the color of my skin, something that I absolutely cannot help. And now it's moving to a point where it's time to start making friends. I knew I was a good person. I knew I wasn't a mean girl. I actually have always known that I'm very sweet and I'm very easy to get along with. But because I was made fun of so much, I was so thankful for the friends that I did have that I just let them, like, whatever I had to do to keep them around was what I was going to do, essentially. And especially in my middle school days, my friends never took advantage of me. I had like a really, really good friend group, and 2 of my best friends that I can think of in this very moment, they never, ever, ever took our friendship for granted, and they always treated me like they're equal. It was never, I never felt like the ugly stepchild of the friendship, essentially. That feeling definitely changed once I got to high school and looks started to matter a little bit more. And especially with the high school that I went to, it was, I'm sure that if I was white, then I probably would have a different experience. But as far as being pretty, you're outside right now. I wasn't in the same league as the girls that I went to school with, because there was pretty to be black and then there was regular old pretty. The black boys thought that I was cool, the white boys thought that I was cute, but I am not somebody that the white boys are particularly running to bring home to their parents. I don't look biracial at all. I look blackity black because that's what I am. So, you know, as far as boys go, the white boys weren't checking for me. And this was definitely during the time of, like, I was so in love with light-skinned boys. Like, I would not look at anybody that was past, like, somebody as dark as Bryson Tiller. I was not going near when I was in school, because now that I'm an adult, I know that I felt like if you bring two dark-skinned people together, it's going to cause more attention to our dark-skinnedness and bring more attention to it, which means there's going to be more eyes on me, which means there's going to be more people making fun of me. And there's also this underlying thing in the black community where being light-skinned is automatically more attractive, it's more beautiful, it's more sought after. So that's what I sought after. And in the reverse, that means that I wasn't sought after as much. So I don't think that I was ever really comparing myself to the other women around me and wishing that I looked like them. I don't know if I ever have a memory of wanting to look like the brown skin girl or the light skin girl in my class. I don't know if I ever have that memory necessarily, but I was constantly comparing myself to the kids that I went to school with, and how much smarter they were than me, and how much I felt like of a head start they had in life. And like, if they needed a brand new $50 textbook, then their parents would give them the money and they would have it the next day. If I needed a textbook, then I needed to go home. It would be this whole big thing. We would have to figure out where we were going to get that money from, and what my mother was going to have to sacrifice in order to make that happen. So right now, when we're looking at my well of love for myself, it's when you're a teenager, it's already so shallow because you are trying so hard to fit in with everybody. Most teenagers aren't working on who they are and loving themselves. They just want so badly to blend in and to fit in and to survive, and that's didn't make for a good start to my journey of self-love, because I didn't know myself at all. All I knew was that I didn't feel good about my outward appearance. There were things that I liked about myself. I thought that I was smart, but I didn't think I was that smart. In comparison to the kids that went to my school, I was a AB student, and you had kids taking all AP classes, graduating with a 4.5, headed off to Vanderbilt in the fall. My sophomore year on, I was never below a 3.5 student, and my senior year, I was at a 3.8. And if you asked me, I would genuinely say that I am not smart, because I genuinely didn't believe that I was, because I was so busy comparing myself to the other people around me and the other kids around me and other people's opinions of me. I was looking for affirmation from the outside in instead of from the inside out. But I mean, hey, I was at this point a child, and I didn't have anybody trying to show me that self-love is so important. And I had this like very shallow idea of self-love. Like, I'm taking a selfie, I'm looking cute with my girls, like, yeah, I love myself, I'm fine, I'm this, I'm that, I do love myself, I do love the skin that I'm in. Looking back on that, that's absolute BS. It's like the most fake conceited point in my life that I've probably ever had. Now that we have talked about, let's call it my well of love, from the time that I was a child until let's just say like my senior year, like my late high school years, and when I'm starting to become aware of who I am as a woman, who I am as a person, and what that means. So I think that when I personally started feeling way more affirmed and happy and proud of myself was when I joined the speech and debate team. And funny enough, I joined the speech and debate team because my friends were on the speech and debate team. Speech and debate was the best thing that I ever could have done for myself. It gave me so much confidence. I had never experienced feeling like a winner before. I will never ever forget the feeling of walking up to a round. A round is like a round of competition. You're not allowed to enter into the room until the judge gets there. So if the judge wasn't there, we will all stand outside and wait for the judge to get there. There have been so many times where I've walked up to that room and everyone felt completely silent because it got to a point where they felt like if I was in that round of competition, then they were losing, that they didn't stand a chance against me. And that was insane to me. Like, for other people to, I don't even know, it's not fear, but for other people to feel that, to put me on a pedestal was so foreign, I guess is the best way to describe it. And I chased that feeling and I wanted more and I wanted to compete more and I wanted to do more. And honestly, I always say that doing speech and debate is what made me realize that I wanted to be an actor for the rest of my life. Once I found something that I loved, I went after it, period. During speech and debate, I went on to win district champion 3 years in a row. My sophomore year, I made it to quarterfinal rounds. By my junior year, I was third in the state. And by my senior year, I was state champion of dramatic interpretation in the Ohio Forensic League. I made it to nationals for 2 years while being on the team. In my senior year, I placed, I believe, 16th in the country, which is pretty good, I'd say. So after I left high school, I went on to college and I went to school to become an actor. And honestly, I would not be the woman that I am today if I did not go through that program. That program broke me down and then built me back up because that's the way that the program is designed to be. When I was in college, I started to get to know myself. What does Simone like? What brings Simone pleasure? What things aren't so good about me? What things do I hate about myself and just never wanted to touch that before, you know? Being an acting major made you face all of that for the better and for the worst. And it made me so much more of a stronger human being, for sure. And it helped me figure out who I wanted to be. And it started me on the journey of becoming the woman that I saw myself being. And then when it came to dealing with the outside, because I've been dealing with the inside, figuring out what makes me feel good and then going after it, I've been figuring that out. I don't have this memory anymore, but I remember telling people all the time that at a point I felt so ugly on the outside that I used to wake up every single day and I used to look at myself in the mirror and I used to say, "You are beautiful," every single day. I would say it even if I didn't believe it, because I knew that it was a start, and that if I kept on saying it, then one day I might believe it. And that actually did happen. I know that's like a cliche thing that people say, but take it from somebody that looked in the mirror, like would avoid mirrors, that looked in the mirror and thought that there was a pretty girl looking back at her because everyone else said so, but didn't really believe it herself. And that's really hard for me to say. Doing that really, really helped me. It was really transformative for me. And something else that's like so trendy right now, but genuinely has helped me understand myself so much, is astrology. I'm so into astrology. I'm into the, not even just like, oh, I'm a Pisces. Like, no. To me, just knowing your sun sign means nothing. I need to know everything. The reason why I needed to know everything about myself like that is because it helps me to be more forgiving towards myself. I used to hate the fact that I could let people walk all over me and that I was such a nice girl, but Do you know? It's in my nature. It just is. There's this whole idea of nature versus nurture when it comes to astrology, and I'm working to become the woman that I want to be, and I know that the woman that I want to be kind of fights against my nature sometimes. In knowing how literally God, the stars, the universe came together to make me is just so comforting to me. This period of my life is really about getting to know Simone. What am I doing that makes me feel good? Am I doing affirming things? Am I doing things that make me love myself? Am I taking advantage of my days to figure out how I can be a better person? Because if I'm a better person, then I can be a better person to all the people around me. I know that I can be the best person to them if I'm the best person to myself first and foremost. So I've really been taking the time to explore that, and when I find something that makes me feel good, I do it. And I do it over and over and over again. Now, as much as I can pat myself on the back for the progress that I have made, I do have to address the things that I know are still a problem for me. If you don't know me personally, then you wouldn't know this, but I actually have a very, very large inability to accept compliments, which is odd. It just makes, I get so awkward and self-conscious is the best way to describe it when people call a lot of attention to the way that I look, you know? And that's not like a humble brag. It's actually not something that I'm super proud of. Even on YouTube, when I go through all of my comments, y'all are so sweet and kind, but like the constant, you are so beautiful, you are so gorgeous, it's hard to say out loud, but I'm kind of like, I can't be that pretty. Like, I'm really not. And I know that that's not nice to say about yourself, and I do look in the mirror and I do see a beautiful woman looking back at me. I more so see my inner beauty that I love so much about myself, and my natural beauty. I don't really, like, when I look in the mirror, when I look like this, I know that I look pretty. I know I look like a bad bitch. Like, when I gotta go somewhere and I want to feel extra cute, of course I'm going to get dressed like this because it makes my ego feel good. But I could look at myself in the mirror barefaced and I feel more beautiful that way than I do with a full face of makeup on, which I guess is like hashtag goals. But for me, it's just like, it is so hard to accept people constantly telling me how beautiful I am when for the first 14 or 15 years in my life, I was constantly being reminded about how ugly I was. Childhood can really do some damage on you, and this is me 10 years later, and I am still struggling with things from my preteens, my adolescence, and my early teenage years. Like, 'cause I know that my outside is beautiful, like I get that, but it's been so much more important to me to work on the way that I feel on the inside. Something else that I really struggle with too is the inability to hurt someone else's feelings, even though they would hurt mine in a second. I put others' feelings ahead of my own so often, and I'm so uncomfortable when I feel as though I've made someone upset. But it's either that I'm so uncomfortable when I made someone upset, or I'm a flat out bitch. Like, there's no in between. I think that the whole inability to put my feelings ahead of someone else's for fear of hurting them, even though they had no trouble hurting me, definitely comes from the people-pleasing part of me from when I was a kid. So I say all of this stuff to say, like, as much as I've worked, there are still things that I need to work on, and I'm very, very aware of that. But I'm proud of myself for the progress that I've made and for the woman that's sitting in front of you right now, because Simone 3 or 4 years ago would have never been this in touch with herself, to be able to be this real and this honest and this raw, and that is something that I'm so proud of. So now we can stop talking about Simone and we can kind of start talking about you guys. Even though we're not like here just having a conversation, like a girl's talk, it still feels like a girl's talk to me. From where you are at right now, can you think of 10 things that make you genuinely happy? I got this idea from Gabrielle Union's book. That book was so freaking good. I've read it like 3 different times, And there's a particular part where she talks about talking to her life coach. During their first meeting, she asked for 10 things that made her happy. And Gabrielle came up with like 3 things, like imitation crab, butter, and like beef or something like that. But she couldn't come up with 10. And her life coach's point was like, well, baby, if you don't even know what makes you happy, then how do you expect for anyone else to make you happy? And girl, that hit me. That hit something inside of me. It just made all the sense in the world to me. I started to sit down and I thought about all the things that made me happy, and I am able to put together a happy list. And I'm wondering, can you put together a happy list? And if you can, that's amazing. And if you can't, maybe that's somewhere to start, you know, in your journey. Something that I also often see from my fellow women and just from people in general, we feel the need to take from others in order to fill ourselves up. Meaning that talking about the way that girl lace front look, and talking about the fact that her man slid into your DMs and that he don't even love her and she posting him, and all of this. Tearing someone down does not build you up. In fact, you sitting around and tearing other people down really just shows that that person has so much power over you. Because if they didn't, then why are you sitting there talking about them? And we're all guilty of it. I still do it. I try my hardest not to. But sometimes it slips and I have my moment and I say, you know what? I don't usually do this. I get it out. I'm usually talking to somebody that's usually like a much better person than I am, and they let me have my moment, and then they remind me of who I am and that I am a queen and I am not to step down off my throne and try to snatch someone else's crown off their head, because I already have a crown. I'm already set. I don't need to take from another woman to make myself feel better. And again, that's no shade to anybody that does that. It's just, it's a part of the journey. And I think being more aware of it is the first way in which you can come about making it better. I know it might feel good temporarily to sit around and tear another person down, drag them for filth, whatever you want to call it. Save all that energy that you were about to give that other person and put it into yourself, and figure out what you can do for you to push you further into the journey that you want to make. Also, something to consider is, do you like yourself? Do you think that you're a good person? And if you don't, then why don't you? The way that I kind of look at it is that we ourselves are usually our biggest critic. So you're yourself, right? And then you have this little person inside of you. This little person inside of you, would you want them to be friends with your best friend? Would you let that little person talk to your best friend the way that they talk to you? If the answer is no, then you gotta kick homegirl out. She not even paying no rent to take up that much space in your brain to make you feel the way that she makes you feel. So she's gotta go. Eviction notice has been served. The pink slip is up. She gotta go. If you wouldn't want that little voice in your head to be friends with your best friend or your mom or your sister, or whatever the case may be, don't accept that for yourself. Oh, this is such a good one too. What do you do to affirm yourself? You will be so surprised at how much confidence and love can come from you just doing things that make you feel good on the inside. For me, I love working my ass off. It personally affirms me to know that I'ma always get it by myself. Always. I'm always eat, no matter what. That's inside of me. That makes me feel so good. And I'm not saying that everyone else has to be like that, but that is something that I have consciously done because I've seen how affirming it is for me and how good it makes me feel about myself. So I gave all these little examples in hope that you can come up with small things. It doesn't even have to be big. You don't have to be sitting around fucking like journaling every 2 seconds about your feelings. Maybe it's that like you wake up and you make your bed every morning, and like that's something I'm proud of. After I get done doing my makeup, I actually put away my makeup. Unheard of. For me personally, that's like unheard of. So what is that for you? What do you do, big or small, every single day that makes you feel good? And where are you getting your affirmations from? I guess would be the last question to you guys. Are you depending on affirmations from others? Because if so, I can guarantee you that that's going to stop working at some point. I think it was Jada Pinkett that said, I don't understand why people think that love shouldn't hurt. Of course love is going to hurt. You're taking your heart and you're giving it to somebody else, and they're just as imperfect and as human as you are. So they're going to hurt you. It's just a matter of time. Whether that's big, whether that's small, they're going to hurt you. So you cannot have all of your feelings about yourself from another person. If that person, if that thing, if that activity, if that drug walks away and leaves you, will you be okay? If the answer is no, then I think that this video is a really, really good place for you to start potentially. I hope that it is. Okay, now with all that being said, I guess I want to talk about some closing thoughts. I just want to reiterate that I am no expert at all. I just wanted to talk about the things that have been beneficial to me, because maybe they will be beneficial to you as well. And I really want to be the person that you subscribe to that helps you with your personal growth, not just outward appearances. I want to help with transforming the person that you are on the inside. This is a journey, and a journey in and of itself means that you really don't know where it's going to end and how it's going to end up, and you just got to be ready for wherever it takes you. This journey of self-love will not be an open and closed book. It'll be a thing from the moment that you are birthed out of the vaginal canal to the moment that God calls you home. Being understanding towards yourself is going to be so important. Congratulate yourself on the little things, on the little successes. Maybe you struggle so much with mental health, and getting up today, getting out of bed, brushing your teeth, changing out of your pajamas, and making your bed and laying back down was all you had. Baby girl, congratulations. Pat yourself on the back. That's amazing. Whatever it is, however big, however small, celebrate your successes and pat yourself on the back. That is the first way for you to start to feel affirmed by nobody else but you. Always remember that self-love comes from the inside, and self-love turns into your self-confidence. I am going to be done with being this sappy, and I'm going to end the video. Thank you all for sticking it out. If you have made it to the end, I love you so very much. I hope that you got something out of this video. Please make sure you comment down below if anything touched you, if you have any points to add, anything like that. You know, we all positivity over here or whatever. So if you have something to add to the conversation, please do not be afraid to do so. And as always, please do not forget to like this video and to subscribe to my channel. Remember to keep positivity in your life, because positivity breeds positivity, and we have absolutely no time for negativity in 2020. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside, don't be selfish, and just be a good person, gal. See, I was gonna say goodbye, but then I just wanted to remind you that more videos to watch will be on either side of me. So, you know, like, no pressure. But you can just click on them. A playlist, a video, whatever you want. Whatever you want, girl. Go ahead, click on it. Love you all.